Today we are going to be talking about the rabbit hole of everyday carry, the rabbit hole of EDC. I tried to make this video on the road today, and for some reason, anytime that I'm driving towards the gun range, for whatever reason, my stream goes wonky. I don't know. They don't want me to shine. But you know what? That is why I have always tried to do my live streams from the studio, because there's always some bullshit. So we're going to make it pop tonight. We're going to make it do what it do. Welcome to the live stream, guys. I appreciate you being here. We're going to be talking about the 5 pillars of firearm EDC. Guys, listen, I'm telling you, I'm at the point where I'm ready to just call it quits. I've got this nice North American Arms little pea shooter here. This reminds me of that firearm that they gave Will Smith in Men in Black. And I think that I'm just going to start carrying this from now on. Little single shot 22 Magnum revolver, just nice and easy to conceal. I'm just at that point. I mean, it seems like no matter what I do, I'm constantly in this search to try and have the right items to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, to be one of the cool kids, guys. And I don't know if I can do it anymore. I don't know. So maybe this is what it's come to. Just a nice little pea shooter, 5 shots, 22 Magnum, single action, very, very easy trigger, very short draw. Maybe that's where it's at. Right now, I've got a flashlight that I'm carrying. I've got my pepper spray right here. What else? I've got the knife that I would like to carry, which is my little Sweeney Todd knife. I love this knife right here, but I have been told that this knife is not good enough for EDC, so I don't carry that knife anymore. Now I carry this knife because I was told that this is the type of knife that I need for EDC, right? This is a quick deployment knife that comes out of your pocket. What else? If I'm carrying my revolver, I've got a speed loader because, you have to have more rounds. If you don't have more rounds, then you're going to get attacked by more ninjas. And so, yeah, what else? Yep. Got an AR pistol. No, I'm joking. The AR pistol is not a part of EDC. It should be, though. But all jokes aside, do you guys ever feel like it just never stops? Do you ever feel like you don't have enough of the items on your person to keep you safe? Do the people in your family feel like you're stockpiling weapons for some sort of, apocalyptic, invasion or something like that? I kind of feel that way, and I'm sure that my family feels that way about me. So we're going to get serious here, all jokes aside. Today, I took out my Glock 26. Now, if you guys will remember, a while back, I dusted off the Glock 26 out of my safe. I hadn't shot it in over, probably 2 years. But after going through my Revolver revolution and figuring out that I could manipulate and utilize a firearm that had a smaller handle, it kind of gave me the idea to go back to the Glock 26. The problem is that in order for me to feel comfortable carrying the Glock 26, I wanted to have it all tricked out, right? So I ended up ordering a holster for it, and that holster took 12 weeks to make, right? I had to order an attachment to go on the rail system so that I could attach a cool light. That attachment took a couple of weeks to come in. I had to find the right light. I got the light. I had to get a certain key. And I just went down this rabbit hole, all because I ultimately wanted to carry the Glock 26. But I didn't just want to carry the Glock 26. I wanted to carry the Glock 26 like all the cool kids carry their Glock 26, all tricked out. So today I went to the range, had the entire tricked out system put together, and I went through the, I don't want to name the firing range, but I went through the Washington draw from concealment test. And later on in this broadcast, we're going to show you guys that test, and I'll walk you through it. And I did it with the Glock 26. I did it from concealment, and I did a great job. I was at the range on Sunday with my boy Marcus. If you guys have seen that video, he was shooting a PSA dagger. I was shooting my Kimber K6 XS. And we kind of had this conversation where he was like, look, I watch your videos. I know you're a big revolver guy. I know that your thought process is that you're going to be utilizing that firearm in a very short distance, just to get somebody off of you. So you're not worried about capacity. You're not worried about accuracy at a further distance. But what if we just get together and we shoot at, say, 3 yards, and just see what happens? We'll do 3 rounds, 3 yards in 3 seconds and see what the result is. Now, the first shot, I missed the first shot. I got the 2-second shots on target, but my time compared to his time utilizing a PSA dagger with a red dot, it was significantly different. And it did get me thinking. A lot of the videos that I break down on this channel, a lot of the things that I share with you guys in terms of everyday carry situations, police encounters, security guard encounters, these are not situations where 3 shots are being levied. Most of the videos that I'm breaking down on this channel are people that are engaged in an actual shootout. Now, I am decent with a revolver and I'm able to utilize that speed loader and reload, but it's not like having the capacity of a Glock 19, the capacity, of a SIG P365, of having that semi-automatic ability to be able to return fire. Now, there is a benefit and there's a drawback, right? Regardless of if you're using a revolver or if you're using a semi-automatic, you are responsible for every round that leaves that firearm. So just because you have more capacity, you have more firepower, it doesn't give you carte blanche to just start laying down, more shots without being accountable for those shots. Unless, of course, you're a police officer, and then by all means, feel free to just, do whatever the fuck you want with complete impunity. But for us mere mortals who live under the actual law, that's not the situation that we find ourselves in. So today, went out, worked with the Glock 26. And at the end of the day, I started thinking about these 5 things. What are the 5 pillars of firearm EDC? Now, these would be the 5 things that we all have to ask ourselves when we're making the decision as to which firearm we're going to carry, okay? In no particular order. Number 1 is going to be reliability. Whether you're utilizing a revolver or you're utilizing a semi-automatic or slingshot, whatever you want to use, is it reliable? Is it a brand that you can count on? I would say, is it a brand that you can bet your life on? Now, with my revolvers, we're talking about Rugers, we're talking about Kimbers. I do have a couple Smith & Wessons. I don't necessarily carry those outside of the house. But when it comes to my semi-automatics, everything is a Glock, okay? I trust Glock with my life. That's what I use as my duty pistol. And I feel comfortable with my Glock, whether it's a Glock 26, Glock 19, 43X, Glock 45, Glock 17, all of the variants that I own. Now, capacity would be number 2. With the Glock 26 running a Glock 19 mag, even if I'm just running the Glock 26 mag, which is a 10-round mag, with, say, a grip extension that gives me an extra 2. You can even run a grip extension that gives you an extra 5. You can go to a Glock 19 mag. So for the Glock 26, capacity is definitely in the favor of the semi-automatic. Now, the capacity is not necessarily that bad if we're talking about the Kimber K6X, the K6S or the K6XS, because you do get 6 rounds. So if we're talking about utilizing just your semi-automatic magazine that comes with the Glock 26 with 10, having 6 is not that big of a difference, especially if you're utilizing that speed loader. But at the end of the day, the capacity goes again to the semi-automatic. Number 3, and for me, this is a big issue, probably the biggest issue more than anything else on this list. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm being honest. Guys, I am 270 pounds. I'm a big guy, right? I've got a tactical tummy. I'm doing my best to lose that, to work on that. The beer isn't helping. The whiskey isn't helping, but comfort is very important to me. I have said this 100,000 times on 100 different streams. I wear a firearm from the time that I get up to the time that I go to bed. There is always a firearm on my body. Now, utilizing a Glock 26, even a Glock 43X, the way that it is designed with the sharp angles, the ridges that are on it, it can be uncomfortable. It got really uncomfortable when I'm utilizing the setup that I have with the Recover tactical rail, with the light, with the red dot that I was running for a short amount of time. and then utilizing that triad holster. That entire setup was very big. It was very bulky. It was easier for me to wear that as opposed to, like, say, a Glock 17 setup or a Glock 19 setup. But compared to my Ruger, compared to this, like the smoothness of this, the light weight of this, it's night and day. So definitely the comfort goes to the Revolver. Number 4, ease of use. Now, ease of use is not as important to me or to you guys who are watching this, people that train, people that are around firearms. But I always ask myself, if we're in a situation and something were to happen to me, if I were out in public and my wife was with me, we get into a situation with someone and I'm taken out of the equation and she has access to my firearm, would she be able to use it? Would she be able to, at a moment's notice, be able to pick that firearm up and protect herself or protect me or other people in the situation that I can't do it? Again, that goes to the Revolver. She's very comfortable with revolvers. She will actually take time to go to the range with me and work on the Revolver, but she has no real interest in the semi-automatic. So that's something that does worry me. But again, she has her own Revolver, so maybe that's not something I have to worry about. Ease of use definitely goes to the Revolver. Number 5, legal considerations. What state do you live in? What city do you live in? The municipality. Here in Portland, semi-automatic firearms, they basically are machine guns to the council and to the legislation here in this area. They think that anything that is not a wheel gun like this is an assault weapon, and they are coming for it. So we have issues like capacity laws. We have issues like ordinances in terms of what you can carry, where you can carry it, if you can have those in your vehicles. And that's not just here in Oregon, it's also in Washington and clearly in the neighboring communist state of California. So in terms of legal considerations, you definitely are in a better footing for now, because they will come for these too, for now, going with the Revolver. Now, I did have a 5B, and that was support and accessories. Guys, you just can't get any better than a Glock. And as I learned the other day, a PSA dagger, I didn't realize that the PSA dagger, you can utilize like Glock magazines, you can utilize, Glock holsters for that. I was very impressed shooting the PSA dagger for the first time. The trigger on this gun was absolutely amazing. Far surpasses anything that I have in my immediate reach. All of my Glocks have stock Glock triggers. I'm assuming the dagger trigger that this guy had was a stock trigger, but it was 10 times better than what I have on my Glocks. It was awesome. But in terms of accessories and support, it doesn't get any easier or any better than Glock. I'm sure if you're a SIG person, you're like, no, SIG's better, but I don't know the first thing about SIG. So these are just some things to be considering when you're looking into getting into your own personal decision for EDC. But, I want to talk about this rabbit hole that we go down. If you're like me, and I'm assuming that a lot of you are like me, when you get into firearms, when you get into this community, you want to be prepared. None of us are wanting to just spend money for the sake of spending money. None of us are wanting to purchase things and then not use it. But I would assume that most of you have, just like me, a drawer full of holsters that you just knew was going to be the holster, was going to be the perfect holster. And then you get it and it's crap, it's shit, right? A lot of you guys are like me and you've purchased a firearm, and when you've held it in the store, when you've dry fired it in the store, maybe you've even fired at friends, and then you purchase one, you go through the whole background process, the whole rigmarole of getting your firearm, depending on where you're living. And then after a while you carry it and you're like, yeah, this ain't really it. I'm not feeling it. You know what I mean? And then you watch videos of people like, I don't know, certain military operators or forward operators, tip of the spear type guys. And they have certain belts and certain kits, and they are pimping or pushing, certain tourniquets. And if you're not carrying a tourniquet, you're not even EDCing, bro. What are you thinking? Right? So you end up purchasing all of this stuff, like what I just showed you, from firearms to pepper spray. And then people tell you, if you don't have a light, you're just wasting your time. And before you know it, you're so loaded down with bullshit. You have so much stuff on your body that you can't go anywhere without setting off alarms or having your kids look at you like you're crazy. Your wife thinks that you're preparing for Fallujah, and all you're doing is trying to go out and have dinner. Now, that doesn't mean that we can negate the fact that in every sense of reality, bad things are happening, and they're happening everywhere. They are happening at the dinner restaurant. They are happening at the grocery store. They are happening at the school. They're happening at the church. Everything that we see in the news seems to be happening in the most mundane, everyday place. So it's in our best interest to carry. It's in our best interest to also carry, because in terms of a political statement, if we continue to hide the fact that we are preparing ourselves for these horrible things, if we continue to stay in the shadow and try and be that gray man and not let anybody know that we have these things on us, we're further pushing the Second Amendment into the background. And the longer it stays in the background, the longer people on the good side of the Second Amendment stay quiet, the easier it's going to be for it to be completely taken and eradicated from us. So in a very real sense, some of this stuff, the flashlight, the pepper spray, the pocket knife, and then ultimately the firearm, a large part of that, maybe you do want to carry it every now and then. Maybe you do want to load out your EDC kit because it causes conversations. When you're at that store, when you're at that restaurant, and if you're like me, I have to move 2 or 3 things out of each pocket in order to get my wallet out, maybe it sparks a conversation as to why you have that. You're able to tell people the importance of being prepared for bad situations, and then also explain to them that you're legally carrying a firearm, if that's something that you choose to do. But it's something that we should be thinking about and something that we should be considering, because the more that we allow ourselves to not be out in the open with that, that does become a political issue. So in terms of where I'm at right now, I think I'm done at this point with trying to justify what I carry. I think that I'm done having these arguments and discussions and competitions about what I carry and why I carry it, who I follow, what types of forward operators I'm tapped into. I think that I'm at a point where I am starting to see a lot of fallacy in how I've been thinking. The revolver definitely has a place. It is definitely extremely comfortable, but I cannot just always go for comfort over reality. Now, we can what if ourselves into oblivion. Someone said that there will always be more ninjas, right? You always say, well, you have 5 shots, you have 6 shots, but what if there's 3 more guys? Well, what if there's 4 more guys? What if there's 5 more guys? We can always what if ourselves to death. So we have to kind of look at our situation. Where do you live? What environments are you in? And what is the probability of the situations that you can find yourself in? Now, none of us can say with 100% certainty that we won't end up in a mass shooting. Those things seem to be popping up and springing up everywhere. So if we take that out of the equation and the potential for some of you to engage that mass shooter, I'm not telling you if that's something that I plan on doing or not, but if we take that off of the table, depending on where you live, depending on the crime in the area that you live, depending on the issues and the places that you go, what is most probable? For me, the most probable thing is a crackhead or a drug addict or a homeless person. Aside from that, it's getting caught up in the middle of cartel violence or drug violence. That is a very real possibility. Guys, I have a person that works with me at one of our locations, and he was carjacked by what I am going to assume were 2 gang members potentially tied to the cartel. And he decided to try and pepper spray one of these guys, and they almost blew his head off. He lived, but he is in a very bad way, and they did a real number on this guy. That is a reality of Portland just as much as all of the lunacy and craziness in terms of the drug addicts and the tweakers. We do, by way of the drug trade, have a lot of cartel people in this area. We have a lot of people involved in gang violence, and it's not out of the question that you can find yourself caught up in the middle of that as well. So capacity becomes a little bit more of an issue. Today I did something that I didn't think that I would do. I literally went full circle all the way back to where I started with one small difference. So I have taken off the Recover tactical rail on the Glock 26. I have taken off the TLR light. I did keep the extended magazine because of that pinky extension. And I was able to shoot a lot better with this. This does have the peep sight ring sight on the back. And aside from that, everything stock, Gen 5, Glock 26. The only thing that's on this, aside from the peep sight, is that extension for the pinky. I shot really good. I felt very comfortable with it. I like the girth. No jokes, please. I like the girth of the 26 as opposed to the 43X. My hand just swallows up that 43X. So utilizing a Glock 45 and a Glock 17, the thickness of the handle of the Glock 26 is way better for me in terms of controlling the firearm, presentation of the firearm, and being able to get a good purchase on that firearm. The only issue, the smallness of the handle. But since I've been working with revolvers for so much over the past year, very, very good in terms of controlling the firearm, even with that smaller handle. But again, having that grip extension was very, very helpful. So I think if I were to say, if you were to put a gun to my head, no pun intended, I will be carrying the Glock 26 moving forward. And I went back to my old holster that my wife made me. This is one of my first Glock 26 holsters. Got this thing like 3 years ago. My wife put this leather sleeve on it. This thing has patinaed with sweat and age. And guys, I'm going to tell you, this setup is so comfortable. It feels great against my skin. It's very, very comfortable. Almost as comfortable as carrying one of my revolvers. And I'm happy with it.